Chapter 347. Is that so? It is. Yudhir clamped his mouth shut for a moment. Life before joining the cavalry did not need to be buried like events from a previous life, but neither was it a topic full of intrigue that he would willingly discuss. What could there be to say about a life in a secluded cabin, where one had to hike nearly half a day down a mountain to meet a neighbor? Seeing a smile at a small memory he deemed neither necessary to maintain nor remember, either felt a sense of complexity. The fact that he had been able to act boldly until now, despite looking suspicious, was because Kishir's silent consent and patience had supported him. Kishir had shown faith so immense that it could be difficult for Yudhir, the very subject, to fully comprehend. However, that didn't mean Kishir was not curious at all. Yudhir realized anew. Well, it's only natural. Yudhir, watching a happy man, cautiously opened his mouth. I didn't know you would be so happy about such a trivial story. It's your story, so how can it be trivial? Their eyes met, clearly gleaming. If there is anything more you're curious about, please ask. He wouldn't be able to answer everything, but he still wanted to say that. Kishir brushed Yudhir's forelock, entangled in his fingers, and lightly shook his head. It's always more joyful to receive such things as unexpected gifts. But it's a bit regrettable that I can't see what you were like a child. You must have been as cute as an angel. No, even my grandfather never said that. Yudhir responded honestly and coolly. Why? You're so cute even now. The natural, playful question brought a retort to the tip of Yudhir's tongue. If anyone looked like a child who would be called as cute as an angel, it was clearly the man before him in his youth. Now he possessed such excessive beauty. What would have been so different back then? He must have looked like the very manifestation of a real angel. There might be a portrait from that time now, but in his previous life, Emperor Kashyan had erased all traces of the entire imperial family. If he had tried, he might have found information. But as he hadn't, Kishir's childhood remained largely unknown. I think only you would describe me that way. My aesthetic sense is just fine. I only speak as I see. Kishir answered seriously and then gradually moved from Yudhir's hair to stroke his ear. Following down the corner of the left eye, his finger playfully brushed downward, causing Yudhir's eyes to close involuntarily. As he slowly blinked a few times, a forgotten weariness washed over him, making him feel languid. You must be sleepy. No, I'm not. I had thought to make sure Kishir fell asleep first since I rested enough today. He tried to resist, but the oncoming drowsiness was unstoppable. Kishir saw him bite his lip forcefully and chuckled softly. You have been acting like you have forgotten all about you not yet fully recovered during the day, so your body must be tired. I will sleep too, so good night. With those faint words as the last, Yudhir fell into a deep sleep. The next day, Yudhir woke up without dreaming at all. The sound of washing came from the nearby bathroom. He cracked open a window, and the cool breeze woke him fully. After a deep breath, he raised a finger and pointed at a tree outside the window, sending a sharp gust of wind that shook its thick branches. The birds that had been greeting the morning were startled and took flight all at once. Certainly, I had more power to release than before taking the medicine, but something felt more oppressive. The left eye that he saw through the mirror was still veiled like a curtain with a black spot. The meaning of that black spot was clearer than anything else. It meant that the absorbed poison was still there. Why doesn't this anomaly disappear quickly, even though the magic spell was successful? Whenever Yudhir tried to exert power, Yudhir felt an oppressive sensation, as if being obstructed by something. It was because the amount of power that could be released felt less compared to the amount of power possessed. Is it because the forces of different natures inside the body are not fused? Enon speculated that it might be the influence of the monster's toxicity already absorbed before Yudhir received the magic spell to dispel the trace of amplification, slowing the recovery. Until now, the power that existed in Yudhir's body was the power that Yudhir originally possessed, the pure power from the red stone, and the power absorbed from Kishir, all of which ultimately had similar characteristics. But this time, whether because of absorbing the trace of poison and amplification through the blood of a monster opposing Yudhir's own power, the recovery was slow. Therefore, Enon prescribed a medicine to activate the body's energy that wants to recover. But could this oppression really be solved by that alone? Do I need to do something more? But what should I do? Previously, Yudhir thought there was nothing to be nervous about because there would be no problems with his life even if he didn't fully recover. But the thoughts changed slightly since yesterday. Would it get better if I gouged out the top part of the eye and received some divine power? Yudhir had a gruesome thought for a moment, then shook his head. If the reason why the stain covering the eye did not disappear even after the trace of amplification was gone was because it had been absorbed too deeply and had become like a plant naturally symbiotic with the body, forcibly gouging and treating would only cause pain without solving the fundamental problem. Yudhir was lost in serious thought until Kishir, who had bathed first, called him. What are you thinking about with the window open? I was examining the extent of my power recovery, but Kishir had every right to know the changes in his condition and the progress of speculation in detail. Yudhir hesitated for a moment and then explained all the thoughts he had been having. Upon hearing the concerns, Kishir faintly raised the corners of his mouth, furrowing his brow as if guessing why Yudhir had suddenly shown a quick will to recover. But it's important that recovery is happening, so don't be impatient. Hurrying won't get things done. Yes. Promise not to have such a terrible thought as gouging out your eye. I know the probability of it having no effect is high. It was just something I said. Yudhir said so, but Kishir's expression remained tight for a while. Then let's have breakfast with the others today and then meet with the firstborn. As soon as he left the room with Yudhir, who was ready, Kishir naturally pulled him by the waist and stuck to his side. The servants of the Wilhelm family who were passing the corridor bowed their heads as if they couldn't see and retreated. Good morning, Commander. As they descended into the hall where the cavalry members were gathering for a meal, those who were already there stood up all at once to greet him. They all looked much healthier, their faces rosy compared to before. Yudhir, suppressing a smile, brushed past his shaking colleagues and took a seat beside Kishir. Shortly afterward, Ever, who appeared a little late, sat across from Yudhir and greeted him. Commander, it seems like it's been a while since I have seen you in the morning. Good morning to Yudhir as well. It might be good to get up early today for a change. Did you return after having a good time yesterday? Ever nodded with a calm smile at the question that implied Did you investigate well the matters related to the Star of Nagran at the security management team yesterday? Yes, I did. As I heard, there was much to see in the Finard Square. It was even more fun than I thought, and I lost track of time. Ah, I also bought a gift for Kana. Oh, just for Kana Wand? Of course, I bought shares for the commander and Yudhir as well. It's nothing special, so it's embarrassing. But will you accept it? It's a gift from a competent deputy commander of Shin Division. I cannot refuse. The servants of the Wilhelm family, who placed food dishes in front of them and then disappeared, secretly snorted at their worthless conversation. But Yudhir perceived entirely different information. The location must be near Finard Square, and it seems a group of beggars who lost their memories were captured here. Mentioning Kana probably means something related to the information that the village in the Great Serene Forest has moved near Tainu. So, our speculation was right after all. How about Commander and Yudhir go to Finard Square today? The weather is good, so it's sure to be fun outing. If you go, I'll guide you. Really? That's a good idea. What about my assistant? Of course, it's really good. It was an answer with all his heart, but the reaction was miserable. Yudhir frowned, watching Ever's gesture to the servants and the rapidly bowing and shaking colleagues. Okay, if I have nothing to do in the afternoon, let's go. I may not want to go out though. The atmosphere relaxed a little only after Kishir, who grinned leisurely, gave Yudhir a slight wink. Why do they all believe even when the other side doesn't say anything? But I think I better not say anything at all. Yudhir sighed and finished his meal. Kishir took Yudhir to the garden, ostensibly for a walk. Since no one wanted to walk with them, the garden was more deserted than ever. Do you think that my speaking hinders role playing, Commander? Why do you think that? Every time I try to fulfill the role properly, the reaction seems rather bad. Does it matter? There was no problem either way, and there won't be in the future. Kishir replied lightly as he moved on. You don't need to try too hard to do well. If you have made up your mind, do as you like.